Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It is the launching day of our Sourcing as a Service package. I am Bridget, Head of Business Development and Communications at Brainbox. And today we have James joining us, Associate Partner of the Strategic Sourcing Unit at Brainbox Consulting. Hi, James.
Hey, Bridget. Great to get started.
Yeah, let's jump right in. James, can you tell us what is Sourcing as a Service?
I certainly can. So sourcing as a service is essentially a package service that we are offering, which will enable organizations to outsource their strategic sourcing events to us. And we would then use market leading software in the form of SAP Ariba to run e-sourcing events on their behalf to deliver greater value and greater savings from their tender, as opposed to using what fortunately a lot of buyers are still using, which is primarily an email and Microsoft Excel based sourcing process.
Right. Great explanation. Thanks, James. And who is this package for? What is the ideal client?
Yeah, theoretically anyone can use it, but there has to be really a minimum amount of addressable spend to put through the tender to really make it pay back in terms of, multiple times the return on investment for using us as a service. So what we would typically use as a rule of thumb is that a company should really be at $100 million or euro in annual turnover to get the most from this service. And then really going up from that, we serve customers as big as anyone, but there does come a point where there may be a commercial argument then for a company to purchase the software themselves if they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, for example.
Right, right. And why would these companies consider sourcing as a service?
Two reasons, really. The first one is a lot of them have resource constraints now with COVID-19 and the economic pressures. There are hiring freezes and people that have been laid off also in procurement. And the second one is, the in-house expertise may not be there, especially if sourcing or procurement as a department within certain organizations is quite decentralized or quite immature as a function. Then there's certainly a lot of expertise that we can also add to the mix, as well as obviously an extra few pair of hands to tackle this professionally and deliver more value through the platform that we use.
Right, right. And I think a very important question for the companies considering this is, why would they consider this?
You mean, why would they outsource it? Why shouldn't they do it in-house?
Exactly. Why would they consider sourcing as a service?
Yeah, and it's a great question, and one that I think we will probably get asked a lot. And the example I'd like to give there is, it's a little bit like if I need to tile my bathroom, I could probably figure it out myself and do it myself. Would I do it particularly well? No. Would I do it as fast as an expert possibly could? Definitely not. And would I do it cheaper? Also, actually, maybe not when you consider my time as an investment. So all of those reasons, when you consider expertise, when you consider that your in-house resources, the opportunity cost of them spending time on running sourcing events when they could be tackling risk management or payment terms or supplier quality or whatever else it is that you've got on your big long list of things to do, as well as the fact that we have the license to use market leading software, that would be a huge investment, probably beyond the means of most organizations in terms of the value they would get back from that investment. And that's not even considering whether or not they would have the CapEx budget to invest in it. So really, it's just outsourcing that one part of it to us, and we can really be as hands-on or as hands-off as the client wants us to be, depending on the maturity of their organization and the resource constraints that they find themselves under.
Right. And I think that already started leading into the next question, which is, how can companies maintain control by outsourcing their sourcing?
Yeah, like I said, it really depends on the client, what they want us to do. And we're completely flexible around how hands-on or hands-off they want us to be. So we can run the complete end-to-end processing including the evaluation or recommendations, even the negotiations if the client wants us to, or alternatively, we can work to a very tight spec and really just build the event and run it and deal with all of the supplier communication during the event, which can be incredibly workload intensive.
Right. So it's flexible. That's good to hear. And the last question I have for you, James, is why wouldn't companies just do sourcing themselves? Why wouldn't they just keep it internal?
Yeah, they could do. The question is it a good use of their time, and do they have the expertise? As I touched on a bit earlier, it's really down to what are the priorities, and how much resource do you have internally to be able to manage everything that you need to do. And by outsourcing this to us, we can deliver multiple times the cost of what it would cost you to do this with us, and at the same time take some resource constraints away from your existing procurement organization.
Right, right. Well, thanks, James. Those were all of the questions I had for you today. Thank you for the rundown of what sourcing as a service is for our initial launch today. Great information for you all out there. If you're interested to get started, we are operating on a no cure, no pay basis to keep it risk-free for your organization as well. And we can get started almost immediately. Feel free to give us a link. Feel free to give us a message on LinkedIn or even follow our page, Brainbox Intelligent Source to Pay, to stay up to date on all things Brainbox procurement. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.